I think the big focus this week, as I said earlier in the week, is continuing to be able to play hard, but play smart, play with more discipline, make good choices and decisions. Intelligence, intensity, sense of urgency, those things are really important, but you got to focus them in the right place in terms of what you need to do your job correctly, because that creates value for you, but it also creates value for the team. And I think one of the things that we're trying to get our players to understand is, there's a lot of emphasis on winning games, but true competitors really, want to play to the best of their ability, try to, dominate the competition, whoever it is. And I think that helps you play at a high standard all the time, which is, I think, something else that we need to, stay focused on so we get more consistent in what we do. I'm happy that this is the 9th year that we're, in curing kids' cancer. I think they've raised like $23 million since 2005, which is a real worthy cause and something that, we all support as much as possible. I know Miss Terry's going to have her next Kids Teachers Excellence Award. We appreciate good teachers more than you know, and that's why we try to always recognize them. Good teachers help individuals at a young age, find their passion, find their niche, find what they want to do in life. And it's not always one size fits all. And I think good teachers, teach individuals and find what they really need to do to help them be successful and have a successful life. So I think that's probably one of the most important things in our society and why we, try to do a really good job of supporting teacher excellence.
When you talk about playing smarter, are the mental errors correctable things? And have you seen maybe better execution this week in practice?
Well, it's not just mental errors. Mental errors are all correctable. It's also, focusing on the fundamental way that you need to do your job, whether it's hand placement when you're blocking somebody, whether it's hand placement as a defensive lineman when you're striking a blocker. All those things help you have a chance to be successful on that particular play. Footwork covering somebody, how you run routes, how you release, how you come out of the route at the top of the route. All those things, when, you say play smart, that means you got to do it correctly because that gives you the best chance. So that's not a mental error. All right, that's just a lack of fundamental execution and sort of buying into the fact that if I do this right, that's going to give me the best chance to be successful. And that's just something that I thought we did fairly well in the first game, but we did not do nearly as well, last week, on the road. So that's something that we need to develop consistency in.
When you went back to watch the film, technique-wise, what did you see from the cornerbacks? There were a couple PIs and a couple big plays. What did you see on those moments?
Look, one guy got beat deep, just like everybody. I see the same thing you see. So the guy outran him. He didn't play great technique, didn't keep the guy cut off so he could control his speed. Gave up a big play. Pass interference is tough, man. I mean, it's a tough call because back shoulder throws make the defensive player have to look through the guy when he turns his shoulders back. And when you look through the guy and you create contact, they sometimes call pass interference. Sometimes I think the guy played it well and it's pass interference. There's other times when I think it could have been pass interference that it doesn't get called. So it's one of the most difficult judgment calls probably in football. I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just saying it's very difficult. But I don't think the guys really played it any different than, what we want to play it. Now we got a holding call, in the red zone. It was holding. I mean, a guy was holding a guy. I mean, that's off the line of scrimmage, not on the throw. So playing the ball is important, but you got to play the back shoulder throw too. So, when you turn into the guy, sometimes there's contact created, and, that's one of the things that I think that is really difficult to make judgment on.
Over Emil Ekiyor's time here, how have you seen him grow in the way that he diagnoses defenses and kind of understands what defenses are doing?
Well, when you play offensive line, You basically look at the front, you make a line call. All right, the center makes a line call. Then you have a technique that you have to play most of the time in combination with somebody else. And I think he certainly understands all those things. But I think as an entire group, as an offensive line, we need to do all those things better. We need to play better together. We need to play fundamentally better, just like every other position that I'm talking about. And if we want to have success individually or collectively, we need better consistency. Like on the 81-yard run, the whole right side of the line did everything exactly right, got great movement, everybody took the right steps, and we had a very successful play. So blocked the perimeter correctly. Just got to do more of those things on a more consistent basis.
How hard is it to gauge offensive growth when the quality of opponent can vary? With Utah State, Texas, and now ULM this week.
Well, but that's your opinion on quality of opponent. All right, it's not mine. All right, I respect all the people that we play, and I respect winning and what you have to do to win. All right, so and every player should not be focused on who they're playing against relative to their motivation, but every player should want to be the best player they can be. So why would it matter whether we're playing Texas or playing somebody else? That's how you get good. That's how you develop the right habits. That's how you're consistent. I've told you guys more than once, when I was in the NFL, I watched players, I didn't know who they were playing against. I was just evaluating them. So that means when we play a team that's not as good as somebody else, you don't play as good. So you let the opponent determine how you play. You let the score determine how you play. You determine where you're playing. All right, that determines how you play. So when you get evaluated, what's somebody think? Oh, this guy plays pretty good at home. I don't think we'll draft him. Does that make sense? So I respect what it takes to win. All right, didn't I say this on Monday? What does what's your favorite in a game mean when you're favored by 20 points and you lose, like two teams did this week? What does it mean? It means the people favoring you either don't know what you're talking about or the players playing got affected by that. Neither one of them are good.
What are your thoughts on the way Jalen Moody's played these first couple of weeks?
He's done okay. He's done a good job. He plays hard. We had a few missed tackles as a defense, last week, which we want to get cleaned up. People got to run their feet on contact. When you're tackling a good back that's got power and can run through first hit, and we all need to do a better job of that. But he's been responsible, done his job. He's done a good job of preparing, and he's played well.
Terry Bowden said this week that, you two have not really crossed paths very often, but, this is kind of a different game for you where you're going to face Terry and you've also faced Bobby before in the past. Is this kind of a moment in college football where you kind of take a step back and go, wow, like it's a unique situation for you to be in?
Well, I think the unique situation for me is I have such respect for the Bowden family. Terry was a GA at West Virginia when I was a coach there, and whatever year that was, 1978 or 9 or whenever, a long time ago, probably before you were born. And Tommy was too. And, Coach Bowden was always really great to my family, was a really good friend of my dad's. So I have a tremendous respect for their family, and I don't think anybody has represented our profession and coached with more class than Coach Bowden did. And I have the same kind of respect for, both of his sons who have been in and out of our profession. And, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Terry and, what he's trying to do at ULM.
Coach, going back to the teachers, a lot of people have one teacher that they feel like made a difference in their life. And I wondered if by any chance you think back on one teacher that was particularly influential to you.
Oh, I remember a lot of them, man. I can tell you every teacher I had in every grade, all right, because most of the time I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, so I was always getting corrected, and all those corrections did make a difference. But Miss Helminski gave me a D in music for not standing up and singing, so that was probably the best thing I ever learned about the importance of education, because my dad made me turn my basketball uniform in, took me down in a coal mine, and said, this is where you're going to end up when you don't get an education. So I remember her. Miss Matthews was my senior English teacher, and she was a teacher that was a little bit like what I talked about earlier. She didn't teach everyone the same, and which I think is important, because everybody has different interest and a passion, and we should bring that out in those people, regardless what it is, so that they have a better chance to be successful in life. And those relationships are very beneficial. But I can name almost all my teachers. Miss Jones, first grade; Miss Carpenter, second grade; Miss Hernan, third grade. I can go through all of them. Miss Troxel in English class, where I couldn't get what you call verbs and all that. I couldn't get that right. I can still see her jumping me. So I remember Mr. Ezel giving me a whipping for doing something, and when I got a whipping when I got home. All right, so I got 2 whippings. I got the paddle in school, and then my dad got me at home. So all those things, I think, contributed to helping me better make better choices and decisions, in my life. I really like math. Ms. Turkovich was the best math teacher I ever had. So I can just go on and on and on with the teachers, and they all had a significant impact on my life, and I certainly appreciate them, more than they know. Thanks, Coach. All right, thank you.